Happy Wednesday. It is time for another Imperfect Action live stream. My first one on Wednesday. And who better than to have on my Imperfect Action live stream than the legend himself, Sajad Husain. Sajad, I appreciate you being a part of the Imperfect Action live stream. It's great to have you here. For those of you who don't know me, I am Rob Fenstermaker, former corporate burnout survivor turned kingdom builder. And what you are witnessing now is the Imperfect Action live stream. Why do I call it the Imperfect Action live stream? Because I used to be that person who wait around for the perfect time to take action. I realized real fast, perfect time is never going to come. So you got to take action. You got to take action now. You got to be all about it. And I know Sajad is all about action. Isn't that right, Sajad?
Yes, and thank you for the opportunity for having me here.
And for those of you that don't know Sajad, he is the owner of Cause and Effect Consulting. How long have you had Cause and Effect Consulting, Sajad?
Over 4 years now, maybe 5. I don't know. I'm old.
Okay, you're old. You're not older than me. You're not older than me. So I'll put it out there for that. You're definitely not older than me. So I know you've shared some of your story with me before, but what was the reason that you decided to start Cause and Effect Consulting? What was the primary impetus for you to start this?
Because my life was sucking. It's not a romantic story. I didn't know we were starting there.
We'll start there. We'll start there. We'll start there.
All right, we'll start. Well, it's only upwards from there, so that's the good news.
It is.
So I was I had a very successful tech company for over 6 years, doing custom websites, custom CRMs, and providing business consulting, business coaching. Then I was an attorney for over 4 years. I won all my cases, including trial work. And then I was deputy chief of staff for the Department of Children and Family Services for the state of Illinois. So I was fourth in charge of a $1.2 billion agency. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Frank. And then after I left the state of Illinois, I was fourth in charge. So when a new governor comes in, the top 4 people usually go away. And then I tried getting a job for a couple of years while doing consulting. And I got rejected by 800 companies because I kept being told I was overqualified. And then I got turned down by Wendy's. And then I had an existential crisis. And I woke up and I said, I either need to kill myself or do something different. And then I went downstairs and I was washing my face. And I looked in the mirror and said, oh, yeah, you can help me. And I created a website and a brand and laid out an actual infrastructure and structure of an organization, a corporation, and made a lot of money really, really, really fast. So it was created out of necessity, desperation, or maybe it was, the universe's will, God's will, because it's been a lot of years now and I'm extremely happy. It's probably exactly what I should be doing. I was a social worker and community organizer for 16 years. So my life's always been about empowering other people. It used to be about empowering economically poor people, and now it's empowering people in business.
That's cool. I'd spent goodness, 20 plus years, 25 years in corporate. And, I've been downsized 3 separate times in corporate. And the third one's in the middle of COVID. And I'm like, peace out, corporate. I can't do you anymore. I got to do something else. And, stepping into this solopreneur world, when I first did it, I tried to have a corporate mindset, tried to do it in a corporate way. And I realized real fast that was not going to work. So are a lot of your clients, are they people that have, been like my situation, have come from corporate and have stepped into the entrepreneurial world? Or are they somebody who's always been entrepreneurial? Maybe they've kind of changed different things. Is there one constant thing you see with your clients?
Well, 50% of the people I would guess are like people like you that were corporate executives, did well, and then wanted to start their own thing. You should only, the people that said they're smarter than their boss, right? If your boss is always wrong, you should probably start your own thing. And then the other half were people that just wanted to be entrepreneurs. Wait, I missed your second question there. What was the question you just asked? So it was 50-50.
Well, is there one constant you see as people?
Oh, yeah. Hey, people that are extremely intelligent and super hardworking, but stressed out because they're not getting the results they want. That's who ends up hiring me. The people that are money driven. So if somebody cares more about helping people than making money, they're not going to put in the effort that my program requires. A lot of people that go to networking events don't have any money. Like I'd say 90% of the people at most networking events are economically poor. If it doesn't pay all your bills, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. So when I meet with people, well, on my calendar survey, it says, what does outrageous success look like for you in 6 months from now? And some people say, do better, get more clients. And then when I meet with people, when I meet with people, I say, how much money do you want to make? And if they're not money driven, then they're not going to have the discipline. They're not going to make the sacrifice. They're not going to have the work ethic. They're not going to have the focus to be successful as an entrepreneur. So I turn down more than half the people who want to hire me, because if I think they're going to fail, I just don't even take their money. I don't work with them.
Yeah, you say, what do you define as success? And they say, I just want more clients. Well, that's that vagueness. That's kind of where I was at, in that vagueness. And you got to have clarity around what it is you want to do. Because if you're, to me, entrepreneurism, that's leadership. That is the perfect form of leadership, because you've got to be a leader. You got to understand how to lead yourself effectively. And part of leadership is casting that vision, knowing what it is you want to accomplish. You can't be vague. I mean, if you're just vague, you're just out there, you'll get to that destination, whatever it is. It may not be what you want, but creating clarity around what that is it being intentional each and every day. And I know that, when I had the opportunity to work with you, that is something you stressed. You've got to be clear on what it is you want to do with intention. And you and I, you mentioned networking. That's how you and I first crossed paths. Was it Larry Call's event? I can't remember. Larry Call's had a few different events. I can't remember which event it was, but that's where we first kind of crossed paths. And you sparked my interest. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's he's definitely out there. He's in the sense that you weren't shy about putting yourself out there.
I've never
You've
been
never been
accused of being
shy.
shy. No,
You've never been accused of being shy.
I've been accused of being shy as many times as I've been accused of being humble. It's not a whole lot of times. It's like actually never times for both.
Yeah, but you've talked about the networking events. I used to be that type of one. I would go to these networking events. I would just kind of hang out in the background, and maybe throw my LinkedIn link in the chat, and maybe someone would connect with me. But as you say, how do you like to say it? You say it the best when you're going to networking events. How do you put it?
Well, operate within. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I always get screwed up when people are setting me up for a particular thing, but I don't know what the thing is. But yeah, it's if you're going to a networking event, you got your camera turned off, you're not raising your hand, you're not engaging, you're not. You go in with zero intention. You've done absolutely nothing. So you have to go there with the intention, telling yourself, Frank Agan runs an event, right? I run events, Rob runs events. You have to tell yourself what you're going to accomplish when you go there. You say, well, how the hell do I know? You don't know, but you still need to set a goal. So if you're in a 1 hour networking event, you should get at least 3 people on your calendar every hour. How do you do that? You DM them and say, hey, Doug, what you do sounds cool. Love to hear more and tell you about what I do. So, and here's my calendar. So you can't just go there and tell yourself that you're working. Activity does not equal productivity. You have to operate with intention in everything you're doing.
Yeah. The first week after I worked with you, I put out, before I started working with you, I'd just have a bunch of stuff on my Google account, just generic stuff.
Yeah.
I realized real quick, wait a minute. I may have stuff on there that occupies 10 to 12 hours, but what am I getting done in those 10 to 12 hours?
Yeah.
That supposedly I'm supposed to be doing something, but I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, everybody's doing that. Everybody's doing the stuff. So what I teach my clients is you have an employee named Mike. You're paying Mike $200,000 a year. So after you write up your schedule, take a look at your schedule as though it was your employee's schedule. What questions would you be asking your employee? Here's things that people do so if you want to make more money, you have to do money-making activities. Here's what most people do at most of their time: reading, researching, creating, and analyzing. To make money is to do podcasts, do presentations, go to networking events, DM people, Marketing, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, every single day, 365. Put your stuff out there over and over and over again. Do things that are going to get people on your calendar so you can add massive value. Tell them what you do and sell. Most of my clients, so in my program, it's 6 weeks. I say there's 24 hours in the day. You sleep for 8. So then that gives you 16 hours. You work 12, you're off 4. Your 12 hours need to be totally focused on money-making activities. And so when my clients start with me, they say, no big deal. I work 15 hours a day. And then by the third day of my program, I say, how is your employee Mike doing? And they say, I'm going to fire that idiot. He doesn't work at all. Most people work 3 to 5 hours per day. And people are just not honest about what they're actually doing with their time.
Yeah. And you got to be honest. I mean, because if you want to be successful, you got to do the hard work. When I was in corporate, there was always you'd always hear it, the people that thought the word job was a curse word. And I worked with, and at one point I was probably that person, and there was always this belief that, oh, I'm just going to go out and do my own thing, so I can go out and play golf and play tennis and go to the beach whenever I want to. And okay, but you're not building a business that way. You're not being intentional with what you want to accomplish. Now, is my time a little bit different now that I'm doing my own thing? Yeah, but I can adjust my time accordingly. When I had a corporate position, I had to be there for what specifically, those set hours. But you have to be protective of your time. You have to be. I really came to understand that in working with you. You have to protect that time, because that time, your time's valuable. You're never getting that time back. You're never getting it back. So use it in a productive way. And I like the way when you started spelling it out to me, to just really document what I'm going to be doing each hour. And it does help. It keeps you focused, keeps you clear on what it is you want to accomplish.
Plus, with a quantifiable measurement. So don't say I'm
Yeah.
doing emails from 9 to 9:30. How many emails are you going to do? Don't say attend networking events. How many DMs are you going to send? Don't say meeting with Doug. What are you going to accomplish in meeting with Doug? State the purpose on paper, handwritten the night before. And 2 thoughts here on entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a fantasy, like dating a perfect woman, which I've done both things several times. So it sounds great in theory, but in practice, it's a lot different than what you think it is. A perfect 10 is not an easy person to deal with. In entrepreneurship, people say, I'm going to be my own boss. But yeah, you got to actually be your own boss. So, and you can't be full of shit. You have to have integrity with yourself. You cannot lie to yourself about how much you're actually working. So no reading, no researching, no creating, no analyzing. I've had clients say crazy stuff to me. One client had on his schedule ruminating. So I had to go to dictionary.com. Ruminating.
That's what a cow does. That's what a cow does when it's chewing its cud, isn't it?
That is what a cow does. I had another guy that had 2 2-hour blocks of flex time. I was like, what is flex time? No, he wasn't even doing that kind of flexing. He said the definition of flex time was to catch up on the things I didn't get done. So I said, you smoke weed, don't you? He said, yes. I said, you don't get any more flex time. That's 4 hours off per day. My latest client is saying my interpretation of what you said, right? So people are full of shit. They're full of crap. So being your own boss is you want to be hyper self-critical without taking it personally.
Yeah.
So you want to, and then people are not at all. They are not nearly as hard on themselves as they would be on an employee. Most people would fire themselves if they had themselves as an employee.
Yeah. And and I agree. And sometimes, that being hard on yourself, you got to be careful with that too, because sometimes you got to be hard on yourself in the sense that I got to get this done. But sometimes, at least in my personal experience, you can take that too far. You can be hard on yourself to a point where you start saying things about yourself. You start creating that self-doubt that can I really get over this hump? Can I really break through this? I like to call it that 6-inch space between our ears. That's where the battle space is. And you got to fight that each and every day because, being an entrepreneur, the one thing that I really struggle with the most when I was in corporate, if I was having a bad day, I could go talk to somebody in the cubicle next and just kind of vent a little bit. I've got nobody to vent except the dog, and the dog could care less. The dog could care less what's going on. He just wants fed.
Well, I want to go back to one more thing on the corporate executive who wants to start their own business. I have a former client of mine. He makes between $20,000 and $30,000 a month. He was 66 years old. He was making $250,000 a year. The projects he was working on were billable out gross at, I think he said like 57 million. He's a former military leader and corporate executive, big government contracts on big projects. He said, yeah, I'm getting ripped off making $250,000 a year. So he hired me. And then, I told him he was missing emails. He wasn't doing marketing. He wasn't doing sales. He wasn't attending networking events. And I said, bro, you're not doing anything. This isn't going to work. He was used to doing the project management. He was the head guy for project management. I said, you are now the administrative assistant. You are now the secretary. You are now in charge of sales, marketing, communications, accounting, bookkeeping, legal. You're now everything. So yeah, they think, I'm only getting paid $250,000. I've had few of those people hire me. I'm only making $250,000 a year. I want to start my own thing because they're making tens of millions of dollars off of my projects. But then they don't understand that there's so much more that you have to do. And people don't like rejection. Like those people don't deal with sales. So they're not used to, they're people pleasers. They want everybody to like them. They never want to get rejected, and they never want to make anybody uncomfortable. And so they don't know that they have to do sales and that they have to learn to do sales. They're only used to running the project when there's all this work on the front end and there's all this work on the back end. And when you start your own business, unless you have investment capital, you're doing all the work. You're going from an employee to self-employed, and then you go from self-employed to a business owner. A business owner is in the position I'm in now, and I've been in a couple times before, where I just pay people to do everything I don't like to do. And I only do the things that are fun for me. But it doesn't start out that way, though. You have to eat shit. You have to do all the grunt work. You got to do everything you don't like. I don't like going to networking events. Well, you're not in the position to not do that yet. Or, Go ahead, Sweets.
We talked a little bit about that before we went live here. I mean, I do a lot of networking events. I probably do, I don't know, 5 to 7 a week. And some of them are just getting a little stale to me in the sense that, I'm always looking for, new events to go to. I know you host 2 events that are really fun, and there's some great people that go to those. And you started Polarizing Network first. What was the impetus behind that?
I kept getting thrown out of everybody else's networking groups. The main thing I would get in trouble for saying is, if it doesn't pay all your bills, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. And 90% of the people at most of these networking events are poor. They're old and they're just looking for something to do, or they're housewives, or they're selling magic water or pills, or most of these people are poor. It's just, they're just burning time. So I curse a lot. But I think the main thing, I curse, smoke, and drink. But I think the main thing that got me in trouble is, if it doesn't pay all your bills, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. And you're lying.
Mr. Wonderful said, that's his thing. Mr. Wonderful's line on Shark Tank. I know, he could be a little abrasive at times, but, he speaks truth. He speaks truth.
People hate the truth.
They do. You're right. People, you're right. People hate truth because when you confront them with it, they realize that, wow, I guess I'm coming up short. They don't want to see, they don't want that mirror turned on them.
Well, they know they're coming up short. They just don't want to understand that it's their fault. It's very easy to be the victim. It's society. It's racism, sexism, homophobia, ageism. I had shitty parents, yada, yada, yada. It's easy. It's much easier to blame somebody else than to take accountability. But to take accountability is to take control to take control and to gain power by saying everything's my fault, even when you don't think it's your fault, is how you gain power. It's the most egotistical thing you can do because it's the number one way to improve you. Always think about what I could have done better, even if you don't think you're the one that did wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You use the word blame, and I know you've heard my acrostic on how I put blame. That's what the victim does. They're just being lazy and making excuses, and they're not taking action. And you got to take ownership. You got to take accountability. You got to be responsible for everything you do in life if you want to get ahead in life. I mean, life's a full contact sport. We're going to get beat around. It's just a given. It's going to happen. There's no guarantees in life other than things are going to happen.
Death and taxes.
Death and tax. Well, those deaths, and how you respond in those moments. That decides, are you a victim or are you a victor? I want to be a victor. I know you're a victor. You want to be a victor. I mean, who wants to be a victim? But I think there's people that they thrive on the idea of victimhood.
I think most people are victims. Most people feel sorry for themselves. Most people do not look at themselves and take complete account. I mean, that's why I make money, is getting people to look at. If people say, well, do you have a money back guaranteed if you're so good? Hell and no, because I have no idea what you're going to do. I'm 100% sure that if you do exactly what I say, 100% of the people that hire me will be successful and are successful. But I don't guarantee what you're going to do. People do my program. They make a bunch of money, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars in 6 weeks. And then they go back to their old ways. They take off on weekends. They take off on holidays. They stop doing the schedule. They don't consistently stick to it. They don't have the work ethic in them. Dan Pena and David Goggins and Joe Rogan and whoever you name, Oprah, whoever you might think of as somebody that's great in business or somebody you think is cool for some reason, those people haven't needed money for a long time. You do not become wealthy. You are a wealthy person. You get wealthy by being that person. Most people just don't have it in them. It's not who they are.
Yeah. And you're right. It's I've talked about, it's called living out of abundance. And when you live out of abundance, you let things flow through you and flow out. What returns is tenfold. But I think a lot of people want to live with that scarcity mindset that, I'm going to hold on to this so tight. I'm not going to give any value to anybody else, because if I do that, they might steal my ideas.
Yeah.
There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. And, I know you love Jim Rohn. I love Jim Rohn, and I love listening to those different type of speakers. But what they're saying is not really new. They're just saying it in a different way that resonates with the listener.
Nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. It's just how the message is received. You've kind of touched on it. Sales and marketing. Let's talk about that.
Okay. What do you want to talk about?
Well, what I'm doing right now, this is what I would consider marketing. I'm marketing myself. You're marketing yourself, getting out there. And I think I see a lot of marketing on social media. I do see a lot of marketing. If you spend any time on LinkedIn, you're seeing a lot of people marketing what their services are and what they can do, how they can, what they can do when working with clients, how they can change clients' lives.
Yeah, they're all doing.
What do you think?
Yeah, go ahead. My fault.
But what do you think the disconnect is between those that are doing good job at marketing and closing the deal, closing the sale?
I think all of your questions are always a can of worms because you're an intellectual, first off. Secondly, I don't think those are okay. So they're doing a version of marketing which is horrible and completely wrong. Mm-hmm. So they're offering to sell product. That is not the way to do marketing. The way to do marketing is, number one, catch people's attention. Number two, add massive value. To add massive value means to say stuff that's so useful that people write down what you're saying. Number three, end with a call to action. So Frank Agan, I've known him for a long time, for a while. He's told millions of stories, and one of them was really good. So So there's this guy that does a 1 hour presentation at the hardware store. I've told this story 20,000 times. 1 hour presentation, bathroom remodeling, do it yourself. Every week, this is a real life story. Every week, 10 people show up at the hardware store, and he shows you the top 10 steps to doing bathroom remodeling. After his 1 hour presentation, 7 out of the 10 people hire him. So people hire people for help with implementation, not information. You give away everything you know for free, that you show that you're an expert. I can tell you everything you need to do to market the hell out of yourself, to get clients to come to you, to make a ton of money, but you're probably not going to do it. Dan Pena says that too. No, well, I mean, I didn't mean it that way, Frank. I just meant that story. I mean, I take back what I said, maybe. So Dan Pena says that too, that, you know, he's got these 8 different courses, modules he gives away for free on his website. And the 2 that require action are the ones that are least opened. So a lot of times people hire me and they think I'm Jesus, that by hiring me, they're going to get rich. And then I say, okay, you got to take all this action. And they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm going to look stupid. I'm like, okay, well, you can look stupid or stay poor. So I would say, okay, in sales versus marketing, I learned this from Larry Call, or he stated in a very simple, explicit way. Marketing is where you're getting the people to come to you. Sales is where you got to get people on calls and then sell them something. So I wear my $450 Air Max 1 Nike shoes. I was going to say when I go to the store to buy them, but I don't go to the store. But anyways, let's pretend like I do. When I go to the store to buy them, I buy them online. The person would not have to sell me the Air Max 1s. I already know what I want because of marketing. And so marketing is, you do not want to chase butterflies. You want to create a beautiful garden and have people come to you. Show that you're an expert over and over again, all over the place, by adding massive value everywhere you go. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, every single day. 5 networking events. Add value everywhere you go. Give away everything you know for free. Do podcasts, do presentations, go live, and just be omnipresent. You know, there's tens of thousands of people that see my stuff every day. Millions of people see my stuff every month. And so then there's constantly people coming to me. And I don't have to sell them because they've already bought in before they've even met with me. So marketing is much better than sales. Sales is painful. Marketing is easy. Well, it can be easy. It makes making money a lot easier.
Yeah. And what do you see as far as the clients you've worked with when it comes to asking for that sell? What's their biggest obstacle that you've seen?
Well, most of my clients have feelings, and feelings are stupid. So they care about others. They care about what other people think of them. One of my ex-girlfriends that I dated for a couple of years said, you know, Sajad, there's a part of your brain missing. I said, what part is that? She said, the part where you're supposed to give a shit what other people think. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't have that part of my brain. It's 3 main things. Most people are people pleasers. So they, number 1, want everybody to like them. Number 2, they never want to make anybody uncomfortable. And number 3, they never want to get rejected. They don't want somebody to say no, because they'll get their panties in the butt. They'll get their feelings hurt. They didn't buy my product. They don't like me. It's not that they don't like you. They just don't want your product. 96% of people don't like me, and I make a ton of money because 4% of people love me. The people who like you that are smart, intellectual, super hardworking, strong, are money, you know, want to make money off their thing, live off their business. They want to help people, but they know they got to pay their bills first before they help people. That's 4% of the population, so far as I can understand. And those people love me and they hire me. So it's not separating personal from professional. Personally, I have my mom, my dad, my brother, and my sister. I have my 23 friends. I had a girlfriend and a wife till last week. I threw them out because they kept arguing. But business is business. So, you know, some people are going to like you. I mean, I like the phrase you use all the time. If you try to make everybody
you can't please everyone. If you can't please everyone, because you try to please everyone, you please no one.
Yeah. So just be your authentic self. I think that phrase is so played out. But Be who you actually are, add massive value.
Yeah.
The people that hire you will be the ones that are attracted to you. And I love the people who hire me. And I don't like
Mhm.
most people, but the people that hire me are the kind of people, they're like you, really, really smart, high-end level intellectuals, really kind, really funny, and they're just too nice. I'm making people less nice. I'm making them more focused on making.
I know you challenged me a couple weeks ago to go out and get some no's, and
Yeah,
I got some no's, and
good.
there's something about I'm not afraid to let's see there's something about when you're asking for that sale and they kind of hem haw around at first. At least for me, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, well, maybe they'll do it, but you convinced me. Sometimes you got to push for that no, just to all right, that's it. Okay. All right. We can shake hands and we can whatever, but all right, we're done.
Yeah, well, you got to sell on the first call. People buy based upon emotion, not logic. So you got to
Yeah.
sell while they're excited. At the very least, you have to offer to sell something. Because if you don't offer to sell anything, they can't buy anything. So at the very, very least, say, are you interested in working with me? And if they say no, that's okay. I don't care if people want to hire me or not.
That's fine.
Not
Yeah.
concerned with it. It's not personal. I mean, there's people I
Yeah.
meet with that say, I love you. I would never work with you. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
couple people on social media today that said, I'm afraid of you. I said, that's a good start to our relationship. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Don't hire me then.
Yeah, one of the benefits, one of many benefits, but one of the big benefits I got in those 6 weeks was my pitch. I had no pitch. I would just I remember the first time I went to a in-person event at the Chamber of Commerce. It was a luncheon, and you've got 2 minutes to just pitch what you're going to do. And as I'm driving to this event, I'm thinking, all right, what am I going to say? How am I going to say this? What am I going to say? And as I'm driving there, I'm just kind of playing it through my mind. And I get there and I kind of scribble some stuff down on a paper. I can't remember what I said, to be honest with you. But it was the first time I ever really had to present a pitch to a group of people. And as I'm, standing up and doing it, I had to walk up at the front of the room. And as I'm walking back, I'm just mumbling under my breath. That I'm like, what the fuck was that, Rob? What? And I'm just mumbling that to myself. I may, some people may have actually heard it, but it was embarrassing. It was really embarrassing because I feel like I just tripped all over myself.
That's the vast majority of people, though, right? Like over 90% of people, I'm sure Frank knows this. I'm sure he experiences it all the time. To pitch means to clearly and concisely articulate massive value. And people think the word pitch is a 4-letter word. It's a 5-letter word. They think it's a bad thing to be able to articulate your value. I meet with people and I ask them over and over again, please tell me what you do. They tell me nothing because they've been brainwashed by third generation new age feminism, where it's all about relationships, go giver, no like, trust, all this bullshit that has nothing to do with business. We're not here to make friends. We're here to make money by adding massive value to sell without selling. And at the end of the meeting, people will say, well, hopefully you can refer. I know you got a lot of influence, Sajad. Maybe you can refer me some people. Yeah. And I say, I have no idea what you do. I met with you. I asked you 5 times in the last 29 minutes, to tell me what you do, and you cannot tell me what you do. So the key to a pitch, number 1, people buy based upon emotion, not logic. So the first line of your pitch on LinkedIn, on your website, and coming out of your mouth should be emotional connect. It shouldn't be your name because nobody cares about your name. It shouldn't be the how and the what. It should be the why. How do people feel after working with you? What is the why for the people? So the people hiring me are extremely intelligent, super hardworking, not getting the results that you want. So the first line of my pitch is take control of your business and life by becoming extremely well organized, which will significantly increase your productivity and substantially reduce your stress. So the first line is your emotional connect line. Nice. Thanks, Rob. Then you have 3 packages, package A, package B, package C. What are the 5 added values of each package? And what are the logistics? Take the potential client and put them in the shoes of somebody that's already working with you. So, yeah, there you go. Emotional connect, 5 added values, logistics. When you hire me, and tell them what it's going to look like. And have 3 packages. Have a clear, structured pitch.
Yeah.
On the value of what you provide. How many people do you all meet with? And they provide 0 value. Yeah. When people hire me in the first week, I say, give me your pitch. And then I say, would you hire you? 95% of people say, no, I wouldn't hire me. So if you wouldn't hire you, who the heck is going to hire you?
Yeah. And I get people on my calendar, and I'm very clear when you're getting on my calendar. I mean, say I want to learn a little bit about you and share a little bit about with you what I do. And I've had some people, I pitch them, and I've had this happen a couple of times. You expect me to work with you? I'm like, well, that's your decision, but you've also got to know what I do, because if you're not interested in working with me, I guarantee you know somebody that would be interested in working with me. And if you don't know what I do, how can you refer them to me?
Yeah. That's exactly what I say too. I'm not interested in buying your thing. Okay, but I'm still going to tell you what I do, because otherwise, how are you going to? And like the vast majority of people that meet with me end up hiring me. So, and they always say 20 minutes in the meeting, oh, I didn't know this was going to be happening today. And I'm like, well, what's happening? Like, I don't know. Oh, I'm going to be hiring you. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, let's go. So
we've talked about network meetings, and I've had some people come, I'll go to some of these network meetings, and I'll put in the chat, hey, I've got a little blurb I put in the chat about, what I do and how to get in contact with me. And I've had some people DM me, kind of offended that I'm actually pitching in the chat. I was like, it's a networking meeting. Well, I mean, what are you here for? I'm not certain what you're here for, if that's the case. So,
yeah. Well, to Frank's point there, I teach my clients to research people for 30 minutes the night before, to take little handwritten notes on how you can add value to them when you meet with them. Ask them on your Calendly survey 3 main questions. What is their current status? What barriers are they facing? And what does outrageous success look like for them in 6 months? Make sure they pitch you first, so you can take little handwritten notes on what they're saying, the notes on how you can provide service to them. So you incorporate their specific needs in an interwoven way. And Rob, I've been doing this work over 10 years now, business development, business consulting. Rob is the best out of every client I ever had before of incorporating their specific needs, which requires the ability to listen. And most people cannot listen. They can hear, but they don't listen very closely. So you do have to listen very closely. And to Frank's point again, you have to make it all about them. I never say I don't talk about me. I'm not here right now telling you about me or my story or my business, because you don't care. People only care about themselves. So how can whatever you say add value to them? Yeah. When I'm pitching, I'm not saying I sell yada, yada, yada. I'm saying, hey, Doug, I checked out your LinkedIn. I checked out your website. I saw your survey answers. Here's where you could do these 3 things that would help with this part. You can do these 3 things that would help with this part. And I say, I could help you do X, Y, Z. So you want to, in 2 years from now, not be working anymore. Here's how I and my team as well, I have a lot of people that work for me. Here's how we can help you get to that point. Here's the first thing to do. Create standard operating procedures. Break down every detail of every task that you do into parts. Make it as stupid simple as possible so that the business can completely run itself without you being involved at all. That's the first step from going from self-employed to a business owner. So do make it completely about them. Make it organic and customized to them, but have the structure of the pitch and then make it about them. It's 50% structure, 50% based upon their specific needs and desires and problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, when they get into the entrepreneurial world, you mentioned some names: Joe Rogan, Oprah Winfrey, take your pick, people that are very successful in the entrepreneurial world. They see that. And they're like, well, I can never make. But what they don't see is the 10,000 hours that took them, the grind it took them to get there.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as an overnight success. And if there is, they burn out quick. I mean, we've talked a lot about, these pro athletes that make millions and millions of dollars and are bankrupt, a year or two after their playing career is over. That's what overnight success looks like. Is you don't maintain it. We don't see that. All we see is the finished product. We don't see the grind that went in to get there.
Yeah, people think it's magical. That's why they're looking for funnels and automation and AI, and people are looking for anything. What appeals to people, what is popular, is anything where I can get rich without working hard.
Yeah. The 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss. Everybody thinks, all I got to do is work.
I read it.
All I got to do is work 4 hours.
It sounds great. AI is great. Funnels are great. Lead gen, yada, yada, yada. It's all bullshit. Work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, focused on money-making activities. You're guaranteed to make at least $100,000 a year. My dad told me 20 years ago, and he's an immigrant who started with $10, has over $5 million. 20 years ago, my father said, if you don't make $100,000 or more a year, you're a moron. It's impossible to not make $100,000 a year. If you're working 12 hours a day, 365, it's just not possible. Adding massive value, helping people everywhere you go, but being focused on money, operating with intention. It's not, as Jen Carpenter says, everything I teach is not easy, but it's simple. Mm-hmm. It's simple. It's simple to see who makes a lot of money and why. It's simple to see who's poor and why. It's simple to look at other people and understand why they're in the position they're in.
Yeah, it takes time. It's like a big aircraft carry out in the ocean. It doesn't turn on a dime. It's got to gradually turn and eventually. And when you kind of step into that space, you kind of got to gradually get there. You'll get there quicker once you start taking the action than, however long it took you to get in that position. But you got to be intentional about the action. You got to know what that destination is, so you have it. And I love the SMART goal concept. I love the SMART goal concept. The specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time bound. You create something around that. You kind of touched on it. You're being very specific about what it is you want to do.
Yeah, the overnight success, not to beat a dead horse, but it's you didn't see all the work that went into that. And when people tell me, so if you do what you love for a living, you never work a day in your life. I work 16 to 19 hours a day, and I don't feel like I'm working at all ever. Like, this is my job, and I make a lot of money, and I get paid a lot of money. How difficult is this? I'm not flipping freaking burgers. So when my clients tell me, oh, I'm burnt out, I need a break, I'm tired, you're not doing what you truly love. Why are you tired? If you do what you love for a living, you never work a day in your life. So if you love what you're doing, you should never be tired of it, because it's the thing that you actually love. Again, the wealthy people do not become wealthy. People do not become wealthy. They behave in wealthy ways. They think in wealthy ways, and then the money comes to them. Jim Rohn says, if you redistribute all the wealth in 2 years from now, the poor will be poor again and the rich will be rich again, because the money's attracted to a certain kind of person. It's impossible to fail. Like, Rob, with the things I see you doing, and Hank and some of my former and current clients, it's impossible to not make 200, 300,000 a year. Impossible. Because you're posting to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn every day. You're hosting this event. You're hosting your 2 awesome other events, Iron Sharpens Iron, and what's your other event?
The virtual Friday whiskey hour. How could you forget about the virtual
I was drinking
Friday
a lot of
whiskey hour?
Those. I don't even drink liquor, but anyways, it was so much fun. I forgot that it happened. It's like Vegas, baby. So, you do all this stuff versus somebody that's doing nothing compared to what you're doing. And of course, the results are guaranteed.
That's where I first met Doug Hubbard. It was at the virtual Friday whiskey hour. And I'm going to give Doug Hubbard the credit. He's the impetus that got me to start that event over 2 years ago.
Well, I highly respect Doug's.
Just by me posting a picture holding a glass of whiskey. He was the
told you
impetus to
that?
get me to start that. Yes.
I got a lot of respect for Doug's intellect. But one of the main things about Doug is the more you drink, the better he looks. Like, if you drink enough, Doug looks like Brad Pitt or Denzel. Because I seen him while I was sober and while I was drunk. He got very attractive later in the night. Oh, all Frank right. And Doug, look, my book's almost done. Look.
It's I remember this. Remember this book. Remember this book.
Oh.
My wife got me this book.
Yeah.
The swear words, the motivational swear words coloring book. Doesn't get any better than that. So I got.
Yeah, I would never say I help ever. I would say something. So my pitch is take control of your business and life. By becoming extremely well organized, you will significantly increase your productivity and substantially reduce your stress. It's you, all about them. Don't say I on your website. Don't say your about section on LinkedIn should not be a resume. Your email should not be a Yahoo email address. You people are making, you 60-year-old people are making yourselves look like you're 90 years old by your lack of knowledge of how to market yourself. You're not. You're doing stuff from the 1990s.
So if people want to connect with you, this is the best way to go to your Calendly link and jump on your calendar to have a conversation with you?
Yes, and I'm rich and famous, so there is a firewall. I charge a $100 refundable deposit, which I send you back as soon as the meeting's over, as long as you show up within 3 meetings and you don't reschedule. I do not reschedule meetings. I don't care about your stupid bullshit emergency, and I don't do late. So it's $100, but I don't charge $100. It's just a way to prevent people from getting on my calendar, blowing me off, and wasting my time. I'm going to add.
I hate that when someone schedules a call with you and they just don't show up. That to me. I mean, I get life happens. If life happens, just send me a text, email, whatever, that you're not going to make the call. But just to not show up, that's rude. That's so rude.
Well, nobody does that to me anymore because there's a $100 barrier.
Or else you keep the $100.
Yeah, I get a couple million views on social media per month now too. So there was a lot of young people that wanted to meet with me, I think, and then got scared. So when I meet with people, I'm going to research you the night before. I'm going to add massive value to you. I'm going to sell without selling. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I am going to tell you about what I do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, that's the way it should be. So yes, as we mentioned, the Friday virtual whiskey hour. I hold this every other Friday. We held this last Friday. And we talked about happiness. What's happiness? What's it look like? And the one before that, we talked about is there still value in a college education? So it's not, we just don't sit around drinking whiskey. I mean, you can drink whiskey if you want. I actually drink a little whiskey. But we have some conversation, have some deep, meaningful conversation. I also host the Iron Sharpens Iron, which is every other Tuesday. And again, that's just an event to bring people together. And we have those deep, meaningful conversations as well. Sajad, I appreciate you being a guest. And I'm always looking for people to come on here as well, because you too can be a guest on the Imperfect Action live stream. How can you be a guest? Well, you just go here to my Calendly link and schedule your date and time where you too can appear to be a guest on the Imperfect Action live stream. I had to do some shameless plugs there, Sajad. I think you would have beat me with a stick if I didn't do that.
I'm against all that. I'm too humble to promote myself.
Too humble to promote yourself. So, all right, as we're winding this down, do you have any parting words that you would like to share with us to inspire us, to elevate us, to take us to that next level?
I don't know if I'll do that, but I do have 2 notes I didn't hit on yet. Larry Call said to me, and I know it comes from the guy that, I think the guy that ran Apple, but it's follow the dots backwards. Everything makes sense in retrospect. Suffering is good. Everything horrible that's ever happened to you has been wonderful for you now. So Les Brown says, you're either headed into a storm, you're in a storm, you're either getting out of a storm, in a storm, or headed towards a storm. So life sucks. It's very difficult. Quit crying. It all makes sense in retrospect. Had I got a job at Wendy's, I would probably be a Wendy's corporate executive right now. I might be happy or I might hate my life. But now I have autonomy, a ton of money, and I love everything I do. So if you're suffering right now, don't worry. That's good. You've suffered before, and suffering is a good thing. It leads you to the next thing.
You're right. And that suffering we go through, that's our greatest opportunity. That can be how we change the world, the opportunity we have to change the world. Any other parting wisdom?
Every night before you go to sleep, create a handwritten, hour-by-hour schedule with quantifiable measurements. Handwritten, hour-by-hour schedule with quantifiable measurements. If you go to YouTube and look up activity versus activity does not equal productivity, the first video that's going to pop up is mine. It's a 4-minute tutorial video. Rob, do you send out an after email after this event?
I can, absolutely. I absolutely
well,
can do
I'll
that.
give you the link for that. Rob has the link.
Yes.
But it's a 4-minute tutorial video on how to create a schedule, quantifiable, and then stick strictly to the schedule. Hold yourself strictly accountable to exactly what you say you're going to get done. Stop messing around. Treat yourself like you were your own employee. Stop bullshitting. I'll give you the tutorial. I'm telling you how to follow it. And then if you can't do it by yourself, which you probably can't, then hop on my calendar and let's talk, and I can help you out.
Yes, you can. You will beat them with a stick if they don't do it correctly, correct?
That is true. I do not tell any of my clients what to do or what to sell. I provide the structure, organization, structure, processes, protocol. I provide the framework, whether you're just starting out or if your business is a hobby, and 10% of my clients are multimillionaires. So what they want to do is make more money. They always want to make more money. That's why they're multimillionaires. They want to work less. They want to be less stressed out. So whether you're starting out, which is the vast majority, birth to 5 is the vast majority of my clients, or whether you're already making millions, you already have a successful business, and you want to, set it up where you work a lot less, I can show you how to do either one of those things.
Okay. All right, and then we haven't really talked about your events, Mini Shark Tank and Polarizing Network. Let's just touch on those real quick.
Thank you.
Mini Shark Tank. A little bit on Polarizing.
Yeah, Mini Shark Tank is with Jim Schulman. He's not gay, but his husband is. So it's 3 business owners, successful business owners. They each get 3 minutes to pitch. 1 minute they ask a business question, and the next 16 minutes is interaction with Jim, the audience, and myself. It's really fun. It's the first and third Wednesday of every month. We just started it a few months ago. We get over 30 people, all successful business owners, no people selling scams, right? That's not who attends my events. Polarizing networking, I started over a year ago. It gets over 50 people attending. 5 of the people are worth over $10 million. It's so Jen, my co-host, believes in no like, trust, go giver, and it's all about relationships. She's extremely intelligent. She's just wrong about everything. She's a friend of mine and former client of mine. She's a really good person. And so she has her perspective. I have mine. 10-minute guest speaker who doesn't sell you anything. They add mass value. 5-minute interaction with Jen and I. 15-minute interaction with the audience. 2 breakout rooms, 15 minutes each. No rules. No dumbass get to know you questions. No patronizing lecture about you're not here to sell anything. You can form relationships if you want. You can pitch your business if you want. You can do whatever you want because you're an adult. We get 8 new people attending every other week. It's the first and third Thursday of every month. Polarizing networking and Mini Shark Tank. Oh, at the end of Polarizing, or after the 2 breakout rooms, there's 30 minutes where we just kind of hang out. Polarizing, super fun. Mini Shark Tank is more corporate, except I run it, so it's not that corporate, but it's more professional. It's less offensive. Polarizing is like a freaking rock and roll show. it's a
Oh,
crazy
it is.
networking event of
It
a lot
is.
of rich people.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun event. It's a fun event. So if you have thin skin, you probably are not going to like polarizing
No,
network.
I even get offended by myself at that event.
You do. You're offended every time, and that's what I love about
I'm
it.
a
Is watching you
special
get
little
offended.
snowflake, and I get triggered a lot.
All right, Sajad. Well, I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed this conversation. I appreciate you. I appreciate all you do. I appreciate what you've done for me. And what else can I say? But thank you for appearing on the Imperfect Action live stream. Any last words?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you for everybody that attended and everybody that watched. Thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate it.
All right. Peace out.